Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing my presentation on 13 years of education and what I've learned from it. So to start this off, actually I really want to make a little note. This is not all that I've learned from my 13 years of education, and this presentation might seem like I really didn't like school and I didn't get anything out of school but negative effects, but it's not like that. This is a big part of my education and I really want to share it with you guys and I want to talk about it with you guys. So my thesis is from 13 years of education, I have learned that anxiety sucks. So yeah, I'm not really nervous to talk about this, but I'm nervous to share this in front of the class. I don't know why, because you guys have all seen me in these moments of anxiety, and who cares? Let's just talk about it. So elementary school did not seem like something I really stressed about. I think part of the reason why I never really stressed too much on elementary school was it was really easy to succeed. I never had homework, I never had issues understanding something, so it didn't spark any anxiety for me. So elementary school isn't really going to be something that I'm going to be talking about a lot in this presentation, but I wanted to just touch on why. I want to talk about band a little bit, and band was a slight part of my anxiety, just a little bit, and I want to pull out my clarinet. I currently play the bass clarinet, so I haven't really seen this thing in a lot of years, so I want to pull it out and I want to just kind of talk about what it signified for me. Okay, now I got it here so we can talk about it. I remember, you can see how many keys is on here. I freaked out. We would have playing tests in front of the entire class and we would get called out one by one, and I remember every single time, like the night before, I would practice for like 3 hours on this clarinet. Even if it was a simple scale that I knew I could do, I would practice for 3 hours. And I would go into the test and I would miss one note, just one note, and I would start bawling my eyes out. So from the beginning, I have always been, crying has kind of been the thing that happens from my anxiety. I never ever try to cry. I always try my hardest to hold it back, and as hard as I hold it back, it will never happen. So I know in my head, I say, this is going to be so embarrassing if I start crying right now. So I try as hard as I can, but I don't. And it always happened in band tests. I would get done playing and everyone would clap because I did pretty good. I just like squeaked a tiny bit, or I missed like one note, and I would instantly start crying. And I would hide it as hard as I could and put my head in my lap, but it never worked. Yeah, that's my little band story. Now I want to talk about my 8th grade math. So I went to Covington and I was in algebra with Mr. Bristol, and Mr. Bristol was one of my favorite teachers ever. And he was just an awesome person and he really understood what I was going through. He told me this thing, and it doesn't really work in high school anymore, but in middle school it was okay. He said, if you spend more than half an hour on your homework and you get stuck on something, just let it go, stop your homework, and come back. So I would do that. I would go home and I would do half an hour of homework and I would get stuck on one problem and I would start freaking out like I always do. But I would come back to school and I would just say, Mr. Bristol, I don't understand this. And he would always help me through it. And I remember on one of my parent conferences, so he had us all practice problems before our parents got there and write them down and do the problem all the way through perfect, so that when our parents got there, it looked like we were like really good at math, and so he was kind of tuning the system, but it was okay. He wanted us to really look good and feel good in front of our parents. So I did this math problem perfect, and then my parents came in and it was just my parents, me, and Mr. Bristol, and I was showing them my math problem like from the start, and I couldn't remember what I was doing wrong, and I instantly started bawling, and it was so embarrassing, but it was only my parents in the room, so I don't know why I was so stressed about it, but I started freaking out, and Mr. Bristol was trying to like calm me down, and so were my parents, but I was freaking out over one problem. And then once you freak out like that, you can't keep going. Your brain just gets fumbled, and your eyes, obviously you can't see out of them because you're crying everywhere, and it was just a bad situation. But I always loved him, and he was just an awesome teacher, and he really understood where I was coming from. But let's talk about high school. So my anxiety got really bad around junior/senior year. And I think the reason why it was so bad in high school was that I believe if I do not get a perfect grade, I cannot get a perfect GPA. If I don't get a perfect GPA, I can't get good scholarships. And if I don't get good scholarships, I can't go to college. If I don't go to college, I can't get a good job. And if I don't get a good job, I won't be living a good life. So my entire life, I could see it in my future just from one test grade. So that kind of gives you guys an idea why I freak out so much on things. Is I don't know why. I think if I don't succeed right now, I won't succeed later in life. And I think how easy it is to be in school and how hard it is going to be when I'm in the real world. But yeah, that's a little bit why. And junior year, I remember I was in Mr. Messer's class. I remember usually at the end of the year, each year, my freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, at the end of the year is when my anxiety flies through the roof. So I remember I was crying. I can't remember why. I don't remember why I was crying in Mr. Messer's class. But I remember like the next period, I got a pass to go to the counselors. And I guess Mr. Messer was kind of just nervous about my health. And I don't blame him at all. I'm so grateful that he tried everything that he could to help me. So I talked to Miss Millen, and instantly I would cry every single time. And I don't know why. I would say how I'm not stressed, but I would be crying my eyes out. And she would explain to me that it's okay. You're just emotional. It's just a way of coping for you. But I didn't want that to be an answer for me, and I don't know why I'm freaking out right now. But I just didn't want to live that way my entire life, just crying when anything went wrong. But Mr. Hammond's class was kind of the time that I realized that maybe I'm not just emotional. So just a little thing, I never knew I really had an anxiety disorder before 1 month ago. So that I just always thought I was emotional. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but I never knew I had anything mentally wrong with me. I thought I was just emotional. So I remember the first day of school, AP Lit, the first day of school, we weren't even doing any work, but I instantly started crying. And I remember Mr. Hammond came over, and he was like, "Your eyes are getting glossy. Are you okay?" And right when he said that, I just started bawling. And Mr. Hammond, you did not know, so I don't blame you at all. But right when somebody points it out that you look like you're about to cry, what's wrong? And I'm sure all of you guys can agree with me, but that's when it goes wrong. So I don't know why I was freaking out. He was talking about how much we had to read each night, and I've never believed that I'm a good reader. I read very slow, and I have to reread everything that I read because I just never remember what I'm reading. So I instantly from the start had no faith in myself and had no faith in my abilities. But look at me now. I read all the books, I finished all the books, I wrote good essays on all of the books, and I'm just really proud of myself for that. So when someone finally told me that something was wrong is when we had our 3 take-home essays, and I took them home and I started them and I could not finish them. I think that's like the first time that I actually had an anxiety attack. I was hyperventilating. I think the reason why it happened was because I was not at school. Even though it was homework from my school class, I was not in the eyes of everyone else, so my mind could really take me where I wanted it to be, where it wanted it to be. If I was in front of people, yes, I would probably cry, but I wouldn't have a full attack. So I just wanted to take the AP test. So I continued on with multiple choice practice, and as you guys know, I'm not very good at multiple choice, and I was freaking out, and I would cry every single day in class up until the AP test. And he pulled me aside. He was really the first one to explain to me that something was wrong. You're not just emotional. It's not your fault that you're crying in class every day. Something is oh my god, I can't say anything. Something is neurologically wrong. And that kind of gave me relief. Someone finally told me that it's not my fault that I'm crying all the time. And I don't know, thank you, Mr. Hammond, for that. It gave me a lot of more belief and faith in myself, knowing that it's not just my fault. Oh gosh, I really did not want this presentation to end up like this, but I want to look on the bright side of my anxiety. Yes, anxiety defined so much for me, but I've also gotten so much out of anxiety. Because I freak out, I end up practicing even more, I end up studying even more, and I'm graduating 7th in the class, and that's so crazy to me that I'm doing good in my school, but I still freak out even though I'm 7th in the class. I freak out and think that I'm an awful student, and I don't know. I have 2 medals here that I wanted to share that I got from HOSA in physical therapy. I'm going to the international competition. Oh, one of them just broke. That's so sad. Okay, well, yeah. These are the medals that I've gotten, and it just makes me really proud to know that I was 2nd in the state and I'm going to the international competition to compete in something that I love. Even though that I may be freaking out inside, I can still accomplish something. And as you guys might know, I was a state officer for HOSA, so this is one of my shirts that I got to wear last year. And wearing this shirt kind of took away the anxiety. I don't know why, but it gave me some pride and it made me feel really happy and felt like I was accomplishing something. And it has my name on it and Region 3 Vice President. That was just an awesome thing. And I really want to share that if you guys have anxiety out there, it's not your fault that you were going through this. Please, please, please don't ever be like me and think that it's your fault and you suck, and nobody should ever be able to see the symptoms of your anxiety. I never wanted anyone to see me crying. And the main thing, please don't ever let it think that it's your fault. Yeah. Thank you to my teachers. Thank you to Mr. Hammond for really supporting me through this. And I want to end this presentation with explaining that, yes, 13 years of education have been a little bit rocky for me, but they've also been amazing. Anxiety has been something that I have dealt with the entire 13 years, but it's not the only thing. So I have had joy in this. I've had joy in this sad medal that just broke. I've also had joy in playing my clarinet, but there have always been times of anxiety, and I think everybody deals with that. We can do anything we want if we set our mind to it. We're graduating this Saturday and we're gonna be done. All this stress that we have put ourselves through doesn't matter anymore. We're gonna be done, we're gonna be succeeding, we're gonna be moving on to bigger and better things. And thank you for taking that ride with me. Thank you guys all. Thank you so much.